Hello, everyone. We are Geeks Not Nerds, and we are live. I am Captain Logan, and introducing my panel of co-hosts this evening, it's Jackson Rasco, Lord of the Flies.
Buzz.
And Dan Lee.
Hello, everybody.
Steve is trying to get in. Every week we have at least one person, or many weeks we have at least one person that can't get in right away, and that for some reason the show has to go live before they're able to get in, and that seems to be Steve tonight. So he's restarting his computer. He told me hopefully he'll be in here in a little bit. So we'll hopefully we'll get to talk to him. But anyway, thanks a lot for being here, folks. If you're watching live, thanks for watching after the fact. If you're doing that, for the next half an hour or so, we're going to talk about a topic that somebody requested on Facebook, and then we will get into our rants and the geekiest things we did this week. At the very end of the show, we'll have the open forum where for about 15 minutes or so, we will talk about whatever you folks watching live would like us to talk about. And we're so happy to be here and hang out with you this evening as we do every Sunday night. Let's go ahead and get to our topic, guys. And like the genius I am, I closed out the window that had the person's name on it that requested this topic. But the topic this evening is special features and commentaries, and why we think we don't see them nearly as often as we used to on home video, on DVDs and Blu-rays. This does seem to be a problem these days. It's something I miss a lot. Obviously, we still get them, but not nearly to the degree that we did when they were novel and new. And personally, I feel like we are missing out on a lot of information that we would love to have looking back on historically and to have for our reference libraries. Dan, is this a thing that you notice? Is this a thing that irks you sometimes when you buy something and it's real stripped down and you're hoping to learn everything you could learn about it? Does this happen to you?
Not really.
Oh, okay. I'm glad we brought you on this show today, Dan.
I'm
sure we'll have no problem getting half an hour out of this topic.
the only special features I really care about or watch are the Star Wars ones, and the Force Awakens Blu-ray had like a good amount of that stuff. But they are trying to resell, I think, a new version that has like more special features, or it was available for holidays this past year. And I'm sure now that we're going with more high resolution formats with like 4K and stuff, the Blu-rays will become the stripped down versions of stuff, just like DVDs are now, and all of the special features and stuff will come as a second disc on 4K Blu-ray sets. I imagine they don't put them on a lot of stuff anymore, just because it's more expensive to put stuff on the discs or produce another one to put it on there, and like home video sales, I bet, have plummeted now that streaming is a thing. So they got to cut costs as much as they can. And B, I just don't think, like, we watch them because we're like, passionate about film and stuff. But I nobody I really know outside of like you guys that I talk to watches any of that stuff. Nobody really cares. So I don't know. That's just what I think about it.
I just wanted to give credit to the guy who suggested this topic. It's Tieran Hamill. Anyway, thanks a lot for the topic tonight. Rasco, is this a thing that you notice? I mean, you guys are a little bit younger than me. When I was first getting DVDs, when they were brand new, when we were phasing out of VHS, it was a big novelty to be able to listen to the people that worked on a movie talk about it for the whole length of a movie with a commentary, and they had to sort of get on TV sometimes, but they would get more in detail than those things ever did, and I just miss seeing as much of it as we used to, especially doing the job that I do. Rascal, you're a big film guy. Surely you have to experience this.
Yeah, and it's weird because like I've actually noticed it even from just when I was a kid to now. Like episode 7 did have a lot of special features, but I remember as a kid watching pretty much everything for episode 3. And there was quite a bit more, and almost about like random stuff that had nothing to do with anything, like the catering service for episode 3. Like literally, there were people talking about
that. I remember that.
Yeah, like stuff like that. That's just like gone, and I liked that stuff. Like I remember there was tons of stuff with the Peter Jackson King Kong movie, and I think that Hollywood would kind of like, since we're so much more connected with creators because of things like Twitter, I think Hollywood would like to allow us to be connected that way, but try to put up a wall when it comes to a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. And I think that Justice League will be a great kind of just a great specific film to pay attention to. After Justice League comes out, regardless of its quality, there is no way that there was not a lot of immediate, like, oh God, we're kind of scared because people didn't react to BVS very well. And I guarantee you there will be no talk of that in anything that is special feature related to Justice League.
I just want to see that stuff just to see Zack Snyder talk, because I remember like seeing goofy interviews with him when BVS was coming out.
Well,
he's like,
sits like this, he sits sideways in all his interviews.
Yeah, and he'll do goofy things. He'll be like, if you notice, we did this really like artistic thing with the symbols where like the Batman and the Superman symbol, like they fit inside each other. I'm like,
I drew it.
Like he like gets all pretentious about the symbol, and it's it's hilarious. I like watching him talk. It's awesome.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to come off entitled about it, where it's like I feel like Hollywood owes me something. That if I purchase a movie, I should have also all these other bells and whistles that come with it. For me, it's a matter of history. It's a matter of being able to go back, especially years after the fact, and hear people talk about a thing right after they made it. Sometimes you'll get another disc that'll come out years later, and you'll get to hear the same people talk about those things again. Or it's always interesting when you get a new release of something that came out 20, 30, even 40 years ago maybe, and you have people that worked on it that are talking about it now, and they're talking about how they feel about it in hindsight, and trying to remember everything that happened at the time and see if they can you recollect those things, and if they can recall those things. And it's just, as a student of popular culture, there's nowhere else to get that stuff. If there are books, there are biographies and histories that come out about these things, but to have a camera there on the set on the day and to be a fly on the wall, I feel like I know so much more about certain movies than I possibly could have. If we hadn't had that stuff, and it's real valuable. So I just miss it for that. I have a few things that the Star Trek and superhero movies and stuff that I like to collect reference libraries for. And the big thing I'm noticing these days that's going away the most is commentaries. We used to get them a lot more for TV shows. And at this point, again, Rasco, to your point, and I'm glad you brought that up, we're trying to phase out home video as much as possible. It's so much cheaper for companies to be able to just put these things up for streaming, that to manufacture the discs and to have a certain amount of money that you spend on that you might not be able to make back. It's a lot more risky than if you just put it up on Netflix or some other website. And so that's got to be the reason that we're not getting it for TV as much. One thing that perplexes me is that you get commentary sometimes for Netflix shows that they'll put as a track on Netflix, and they haven't done it for very much yet. And I like Rasco, tell me if you agree with this. I feel like regardless of what it costs and cost saving measures, people working on these shows and like producers and directors and actors especially, some of those folks have to kind of want to make some of that stuff. I would think, you would be excited to talk about. Not everybody, and different people are different. Different people are more guarded about it, but I feel like there are some people that seem to kind of revel in talking about that stuff.
Yeah, it's like that seems like something that I am sure the people behind the scenes have to want that stuff to be out there. They want even stuff that doesn't even make it into the movie, just random ideas and stuff like that. I'm sure people enjoy talking about the stuff that they're making. I mean, even in episode 3, I remember there were people doing the concept art for General Grievous. And there's a little cool thing about this guy. He saw a spray bottle, and he was like, "Oh, this gave me an idea to create General Grievous." And then we took this and we morphed it a little bit, and that's how we created his bodyguard droids and stuff like that. That's so cool, and it puts a spotlight. Just watching the movie, you would never know about. But at the same time, it puts the spotlight on people that aren't necessarily the go-to, like, oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about the production of this movie. I'm thinking about all the people slaving away on the costumes and the concept art and stuff like that. And I'm sure like even directors and writers would want that stuff to be shown because it's cool.
Yeah, with that stuff, we get a whole lot more first-person accounts for things than we ever used to before. And some of those interviews that you'll have with people that work on a project can be really invaluable, again, to the history of film. Mind the Gap says there can be whole podcast interviews, there can be whole episode interviews, podcasts, and even YouTube videos. So that seems to replace the episode commentary. Yeah, the problem with that, and we have that with movies too. And the problem with it is, it's not always going to be there forever. You can't be sure if it's not, on a hard copy somewhere that it won't get deleted off the internet. And B, it's not in one convenient place. So you find yourself having to go hunt for these things and do more research than you did when the company would just put these things on the disc. Now, having said all of that, there is also a kind of a grain of salt that you have to take with a lot of special features, because they're also still selling their product, and sometimes people aren't that concerned about making themselves look good, but you have studio pressures and things that will make that happen. So you'll listen to a commentary that's, for lack of a better term, real BS-y, where that people are pulling punches and trying to save face. That can also be kind of entertaining in its own right, and very often when you have an interview with someone who feels the need to try to save face, or they're trying to keep their job or whatever, you can understand some of these motivations. It won't matter whether that was on the DVD or whether it was in some random interview, but I'm just saying that those things aren't always reliable either, and you have to be kind of savvy when you're looking at it. But don't you guys kind of agree that you can't be sure that you're gonna get as much information about a movie as you'd like to if we're just relying on random interviews and podcasts and things?
Yeah, and because we strip down like on disc special features, also like you go to the movie and you look at all the special features, and if you were to just go by that, it gives you a completely inaccurate picture of what the development of that movie was like.
Sure.
You have to go to news sites and stuff like that to find like the stories of what went on behind the scenes of Suicide Squad. I haven't looked at the special features for Suicide Squad, but I can't imagine, I can't imagine them talking about how David Ayer only had 6 weeks to write the script, and then there was like all this. Oh, we had like one of the people who one of the houses that edited the first trailer. They made their cut of the movie. Then there was David Ayer's cut. Then they made like a mixture cut. Like, I guarantee you that's not on there. I haven't seen it, so maybe I'm just full of crap, but I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't talk about that. So it's like, you can't even, it's like, why have these things if it's not going to accurately display what it was like creating this film?
Because it tells you other things too. Even that can be valuable, especially in the future, right? Because it tells you what the climate at the time was like. It tells you what the mindsets of the people making the movies was. If somebody is talking about a movie, like I talk about this a lot when I did the rewind on Son of the Mask. You've got people on that commentary that were the director and the writer and the main actor that were talking about that like it was the greatest thing that ever made, and every one of them wishes they'd never touched that project now, and says and they all say much different things about it now, or at least most of them. So it ends up, so I don't know, it's a time capsule. It tells you something, and it tells you like, I think that because of the kind of discrepancies, especially between what someone will say the week before a movie comes out and they have no idea how it's going to perform versus what they are saying after they've seen how it's performing. I think that I just think that tells us a lot about what Hollywood is like and filmmaking in general. And I think we have maybe those of us that aren't in the trenches, I think we have a more complete picture than we ever possibly could have if we didn't see those kinds of things. So Rascal, I think it's still valuable
to some degree, but it's like, to go off that, you don't really know what it was really like. Like, it's like a polished.
No, that's true.
It's just like,
yeah, but you can
gaps in it, I guess.
Yeah, but you can glean the climate of not necessarily what it was like to make the movie, but of what of just what like certain studios are like in general.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know. I think that can be kind of useful. But you're right. Like, after a while, if you listen to enough of those, you're like, okay, I'm not learning anything new. So like, certain studios seem to be really oppressive, and I don't know why I'm making this commentary, because they won't let me say anything that I actually want to say. So yeah, that can certainly be problematic. But by and large, that doesn't seem to be the majority of the commentaries I listen to, especially and I enjoy this more, especially for movies that have been out for decades.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see. I hope they eventually do a US release of this, but they're doing they're releasing a special edition like steelbook of the Super Mario Brothers movie that's going to have like a bunch of special features and interviews with people who made that movie like years afterwards. It's only a European thing right now, and it's region locked, so I'm really hoping that the US eventually gets it released here so I can watch those, because I'm a big Mario fan, not a big fan of that movie for the right reasons. I think it's a terrible movie, but I kind of love it because it's like just so terrible. So I would like to know if some of the legends about that movie are true. I don't know if they'll discuss them, to your point that you guys made about it being kind of a, studio approved vision of what the making of the movie was like. But there's rumors that like Bob Hoskins was drunk every day on the set of that movie because he hated making it so much. So I would like to see, like, maybe years later they'll be more candid about it or something like that. I think it's almost more interesting to me to have special features that are like made years and years after. Because I feel like people have a little bit more freedom to be candid about those kind of things, because they're not as involved in the day-to-day of selling the movie as a product as they were like back then. Like, once you do like a special edition, like DVD version of a thing, like, it's not as imperative to sell like, hundreds of millions of copies of it, or, to get people to go see it in the theaters or whatever,
Yeah, and it's not always just about like trying to get a sense of what it was like making the movie. It's also just like specific raw facts that you can only get from people working on a project. One of my favorite commentaries is the one for Danger Diabolic, and I can't remember his name right now, but the main actor in that movie, just a fountain of information from about specifically Italian filmmaking at that period. And he passed away, I want to say 2 or 3 years after they recorded that commentary. And if the release for that wanted to strip everything down and didn't want to pay to have things like a commentary on the DVD, we would have never had the plethora of info that he dumped into that commentary about some of those more off the beaten path movies from that period. And so sometimes I just find those things like incredibly invaluable. And again, when I'm doing research for a project because I'm specifically studying superhero movies most of the time, and there's not a lot of information on some of them where you're kind of just stuck with Wikipedia. And of course, what I do is not primarily research projects, but I like to get a sense of, and this is the reason I wait 2 years at least, I like to get a sense of what the climate was like at the time and how movies have influenced the culture. And it's easier to get a sense of that if you can go back and find out, as much as you can. So it's not, for me, it's not a matter of like, I've got to have these things so that I can go around and show you how much I know, like impress people. It's just, I like to study this stuff and look at the patterns, and the less of it we get, the harder it's going to be to do that. I mean, like, I would pay real money for commentaries on all the Dark Knight films, and we'll never get that. And that's not because that got stripped down. That's because of a director who doesn't believe in doing those. But there's just, imagine how much more we would know if you could get Chris Nolan to sit down and actually talk frame by frame about those films.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
I think the only film he's ever made that he did a commentary for was his first film, Following.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I haven't listened to that, but that would be very interesting to go back and listen to.
Like a lot of things I feel like I know about television making come from Joss Whedon's commentaries on Buffy and Firefly and Angel, of which he would do at least 2 on every box set, or 1 or 2 on every box set. And those were like sitting in a lecture about filmmaking. And so I don't know, it's just really nice to have that stuff. As far as the reason, let's get more into this, I guess, that we're not seeing as much of that. You guys really hit on some of it, I think. But yeah, it's don't you feel like we're in an age now where the more information that it feels like we can get, the less we're being like real meticulous and careful to make sure that it's there, if that makes any sense. It feels like with Wikipedia and things, like we always think that any information you want is on the internet, and I think that mentality sometimes prevents it from going there. I mean, if somebody really wants it, then of course they'll go seek it out and try to put it somewhere, I suppose. But sometimes I think that our expectations are that it's there already, and I think that makes us lazy.
Yeah, and I think that Hollywood actively wants to they want there to be some sort of barrier, because traditionally we did not have this much access to films and the behind the scenes stuff before the movie, during the movie being made. We didn't know as much as we know now. And so it's almost like to make up for that, they keep the on disc stuff shrouded in more mystery.
Yeah. And I mean, there, and that kind of clouds our judgment and our understanding of previous periods, and gives us kind of rose tinted glasses. So you're right. There's a mystique that we kind of lose the more we have of that. But also just I like what you said earlier, Rasco, about how, we have direct access now with Twitter and stuff to a lot of the people involved in our entertainment. And so we think that kind of makes it where we don't feel like we need as much official stuff. And it's not like everybody will talk to you, or that you can read every tweet necessarily that anybody's ever put up. That stuff is useful, and it's interesting at the very least. There's pros and cons to it, certainly, that those barriers have been broken down as much as they have. It's also going to be interesting to see how much that lasts. As controversial as Twitter ends up being often for people, down the road, 20, 30 years from now, is it still going to be the norm, or are people going to put those walls back up? That's a question. Yeah,
it's strange. David Ayer, he recently made some sort of statement about what he would have done if he could go back and do Suicide Squad again, the changes and the steps that he took. And it's weird because it's not stuff that I really think he would actually do. It's just stuff that people wanted. For instance, he would have made Joker the main antagonist of the film, and that's more of just well, you're just saying that because that's what people complained about, because the movie was marketed with heavy Joker influence. And then when people go and it's not that, I don't know if that's a statement he would have ever made if we didn't live in a world with Twitter, where you don't, you right now, when a movie comes out, you go on the internet and we have websites that are literally meant to say, this is generally what people think of this. This is the general consensus. And now, and it used to be that a movie was kind of out for a while, and you would meet someone and they'd be like, oh, I love that movie. And you'd be like, oh, I hated that movie, or just anything. You'd meet people, and it would take kind of years to really understand what the general vibe was. It wasn't this instant, the month of the film's release thing. Which, a part of me much prefers that, just because I just think it's a lot more, that's a lot more open-minded, and we're not immediately jumping to consensus, so that if,
6 hours before a movie comes out, we're told what we're supposed to think of it. You know, when you see it a week later and you say I didn't like it, you're like, no, that's incorrect. You failed this test. That's been put before you. We've really oversimplified things and forgotten that people have you know, different tastes in things, and that not every movie has to be for everyone. And B, we can like things that aren't good. That's okay. We can also not like things that are good. That's okay too. And of course, I talk about that all the time. But Mike Root in the comments says, "Screw your mystery. Give us the special features." I like that comment. And Manos brings up something that's kind of off the beaten path of this, but I want to mention. Hi, Manos. He says he has a couple of old DVDs that list scene selection as special features. Yeah, me too. And they.
Hey man, I had a VHS player for the longest time. That was a special feature when I finally got one. I was blown away. Let me tell you what.
Yeah, you know, when I first got a DVD player, that was kind of a big deal.
My family were dinosaurs. We had a VHS player right up until they stopped manufacturing movies as VHSs. Like when the first time a movie came out that we wanted to buy that didn't have a VHS, we're like, all right, I guess we're gonna buy one now.
Eric and I looked this up the other day, and I feel like we either put this on a Patreon video or a regular video. I can't remember. So some of you might have heard me say this recently. Do you guys know what the last movie put on VHS was?
No, I don't. What was it?
And it is a film based on a comic book. It was A History of Violence. That was the last thing put on VHS. Yeah.
What year was that?
Just 04, 05.
Okay, that makes sense.
Maybe as late as 06, somewhere in there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Do you guys think that that at the start of DVDs that special features were a big selling point? Like, do you think that there were people who bought discs solely because of them, or that people moved from VHS faster? Because I think there was some segment of the population that did that.
I know that the way they were marketed, that was definitely supposed to be a big perk. Even when Blu-rays were a new format, they marketed them as like more special features that you can't get on DVD. Like they, at least, I think for DVDs they might have been, because if whoever was doing the market research for Sony when they were marketing the Blu-ray format, I would imagine they looked at sales of DVDs and somehow or rather figured that special features were a big selling point for people, and they used it to also sell Blu-ray when that was a thing, for, you know, when it was first starting competing against HD DVD. So I would imagine initially they were, but just anecdotally, I don't know a lot of people that watch special features on Blu-rays and stuff other than you guys and myself. So I don't know if they are as much anymore. I'm not really sure.
I guess I half expect that more people look at them than I. It's like I'm constantly talking to people and taking a survey about this, Dan. Like I think maybe more.
But I always get a weird look from people when I talk about watching the special features. Like I'll be like, "Oh, have you seen like the Star Wars special features on like the trilogy thing?" And people are like, "No, like I don't like movies that much." I'm like, oh, "Okay."
I guess I don't talk to the same kinds of people you do, Dan. I have people so you know they do look at special features. I predict that if we ever get down to a single format, before you know everything is in your computer and you don't physically own anything at all, we'll see even fewer of them. I mean, I do think that we use special features to sell Blu-ray. There's got to be some difference, right? Where especially with movies, where you have like a single disc DVD that has almost nothing, or like very often it's like a singular like behind the scenes featurette that's like 12 minutes long, and then you'll have the Blu-ray that has like 3 or 4 or 5 special features, and if there's a commentary, it's there. Alternatively, sometimes I'll see a DVD that has just the commentary and none of the other features, which it's kind of nice of them to do that. But what do you think, Rasco? Like if we ever go down to Blu-ray and we stop making DVDs, and there was rumors a few years ago that we would quit, and we haven't yet. Do you think that that kind of guts special features, and we start seeing more releases that just don't have them at all?
I think so. Like, even if you go on like I think we're trying to like find the easiest kind of cop-out ways to still insert that stuff in there. Like if you go on Amazon and you like buy a movie and then like stream it from Amazon, it has little like facts that pop up. And what's funny about it is that like sometimes the facts are just wrong. Like I watched Prometheus, And it's like, originally this was going to be a prequel to Alien, but Ridley Scott later said that it was a standalone film. And I'm like, you're wrong. And it's not true. Like, it is a prequel, and he said that, but he didn't mean what that fact said he meant. And so, like, it's incredibly complicated. But, like, I'm like, this is what we call, like, special, cool little, like, tidbits of information now, just little pop-up things that are false half the time, and sometimes contradict each other.
That's even weird. That's even weird, especially in that movie, because I've only saw that movie once, and if I remember correctly, there's a xenomorph at the end of the movie, right?
Yeah, like, it's not like, yeah, it's just like, did you watch the movie? Did you watch the
that's
movie?
what I'm saying.
They just get someone to come up with little tidbits of information. Like,
Rasco Cody Man just wrote, "You're wrong, erg." Rasco 2017. Would anybody like to do any final thoughts before we move on? I'm sure Dan has so much more to say on this topic.
Oh, I am just chomping at the bit to provide you with my final thoughts. I don't have any. So, Rasco, you have the floor.
Appreciate those sarcastic final thoughts. You just work on your rant there, Dan. Okay, go ahead, Rasco.
I would really like to see creators take like a more interested, or just be more proactive and like try to like push the studio to like get down with this idea of doing like this really well constructed like featurette and stuff like that. Kind of like what they did with Force Awakens. That felt really polished, and it just felt like they really tried there. And it almost it's just like it's not just like information. It's like presented well. I would like to see more like creators behind the scenes like taking more of an interest in that. And if not, at least we can ask people on the internet why certain things are the way they are in their movie. And a lot of people will answer questions like that. Like someone like Max Landis, if you ask him something, he'll pretty much respond to anything.
Yeah. Yeah, he found my Chronicle review. I mean, some of those guys are just super neat about that. So yeah, there's empirical research you can do now that you never used to be able to, which is just fantastic and amazing. If this will be my last word on it, if you feel the need to put out a separate thing, whether it be streaming or on disc or something that you want to charge a little extra for, I take that. It'll be all right. If that's the only way we can do it, where you have to make like a few extra dollars on it, if it's not insane, yeah, I take that.
I would as well.
Let's go ahead and move on now to rants, shall we? And Rascal, what would you like to rant about this week, sir?
Okay, I thought of this right before we started, and I'm really excited. Okay, so I'm assuming we've all seen the trailer for the new Mummy movie.
Yeah, it looks like garbage.
Yeah, okay. So there's something that I noticed on the first viewing, and it is hilarious, and it is so lazy. So you make like a, roughly 2 hour long movie. I'm going to assume that movie's going to be around 2 hours, right? And you're cutting down the movie to make a trailer, and it's just like, it's like a 1.5 minute long trailer. Just all you have to do is make sure you don't make any stupid decisions in what you're going to present in the trailer. They loop the same scream 3 times in that trailer, and it's hilarious. When the plane starts like crashing, you hear Tom Cruise and he's like, "Ah! Ah!" And then like it goes again, and he's like about to he's like hanging out on the side of the plane, and he's like, "Ah! Ah!" And it's the same scream 3 times. It's so lazy. What are you doing? Like, is there not real audio that they could have used? Why did they loop the same scream 3 times?
Sounds like when you're playing a video game and you get on a ledge and it's always the exact same scream, like you're about to careen over it.
Yeah. When you get like hit. Ah! Like if you get like hit by something in a video game. Ah! Ah! And that's in the trailer.
And these days we tend to even record 4 or 5 of those so we can at least mix it up. You're talking about a minute, or how long is that trailer? Like, I saw a teaser. Is there a full trailer?
Yes, I think there is.
Oh, okay. I mean,
I think that's what I'm saying. Like, I've seen this in theaters, so I'm just calling it a full trailer.
No, that's cool. I don't think I've seen that yet. That's hilarious.
It irritates me. Like, that's just late. Like, there's no excuse. There's just no excuse. And I go on like IGN where they uploaded the trailer, and the number one rated, the top comment is they loop the same scream twice. And then I watch it and I discover, no, you're wrong. It's 3 times. It's hilarious. They use it once and then they use it back to back. And it's just absurd, and there's no excuse for that in your trailer.
Well, and going back to something that you brought up earlier that I thought was a really good point, Rasco, is you can't get away with anything anymore because a lot more people are going to see it, and there's a forum to comment on it. You know,
yeah.
There was a time where you would just see trailers in the theater. And word of mouth, you could make fun of it, but now you can talk about it in the official place where everyone is watching it. Hey, idiots, why don't you not loop the same screen 3 times? Like, I just feel like you'd be more careful about it to broaching for some people on paranoia these days. That's hilarious. Yeah. That was a great rant. Cody Man says your noises are 10 out of 10.
Thanks.
And yeah, we didn't get in a real specific voice that time. I'm expecting one of those before we stop recording tonight, Rasco. Dan, would you like to rant about something, sir?
Let's see. Am I angry about anything? Not particularly, but I did see an article that I thought was kind of hilarious. So, DC is apparently raising the prices of all their comic books from $2.99 to $3.99, and they have flip-flopped on this issue so many times that I feel like they should just be honest with everyone and say that their comic should be $4, just like Marvel. They're like touting up that they're going to put codes in them and everything, and like I don't know. This is like
I haven't even heard about this.
Yeah, this is like the second time they've like touted up the fact that their books are $2.99 and made it like a huge initiative, and then went back at it like a few months later. It just seems so confused to me. I don't understand why they do that.
No, this is a rant. This is a legitimate rant. I'm gonna help you out with it.
Okay.
If they are doing that, they have got to stop double shipping. Because the main reason they did the $2.99 thing was because they wanted to be able to justify putting most of their books out twice a month. They've got to stop double shipping if they go to $3.99. I don't care if the codes are in it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I know Marvel double ship. Does Spider-Man still double ship the slot one?
It might, but most of their books don't. Nothing I am reading from double ships anymore. And they've never done it.
Most of DC double shipping? Is that their thing now?
Yeah, and they've been doing that since the beginning of Rebirth. And what I read before the new year was that they were going to do it throughout all the way through the spring.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. Maybe there's a different pricing structure. Someone's saying in the comments that there might be a different pricing structure for the double ship books. Maybe they're remaining. I don't know. I just saw an article and it said that DC was changing their prices, and they were like, we're going to put digital codes in them for people that like, having the digital books. So
here's the thing. Yeah. I'm actually happy with them and kind of proud of them for finally doing that, just because that's how you compete. Marvel's been doing it forever, and we've been saying for years now that they ought to probably follow suit and do that, especially if their books are going to be $3.99. So like, I don't know, I'm more okay with it if they're doing that, and if they stop double shipping.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. So yeah, that's my rant.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna rant about something that 2 weeks ago I said I would rant about. I had a couple more ideas, but I was like, no, I'm gonna not put this off anymore because no one's gonna care anyway. So I play Lego Dimensions, and we've been getting a lot of sets for that lately. And the first set from the new wave of figures and levels that I got is the Sonic one. And it is the best open world they have. It's so much fun. They put a bunch of old school zones, and I like it a lot because it's calling back much more to my era Sonic than the more modern era, and it's what I like. And so they took, so just for me, I really like that. And they took a bunch of the old zones and made them different sections of the open world. So it's kind of like a city. You'll go from one zone to another zone, and then it puts up a thing at the bottom that tells you what zone you're in. I think it's really fun. And it's all classic zones I recognize. The problem is, none of the music is the music from those zones. And it's not just that they have generic different music. It's like they got the rights to use Sonic, but the music didn't come with it, and I don't understand that.
That doesn't make any sense, yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. Like that music should not be copyrighted separately. Every time, I mean, certainly it's Sega, but every time Sega's ever put out anything that goes back to old school Sonic stuff, they've always been able to use the music before. Imagine you're playing a Mario game, Dan, and it's like the classic. It's like the classic original, first level Mario, but the song like meanders around the melody. That's what this does. And with major zones, like Green Hill Zone does this, and I can't handle it. It makes me want to punch my TV. Jason, because like 20 to 30% of my love for Sonic comes from the music, and they've had to write these tracks where they just, like I said, meander around it. Jason told me that he found my favorite zone somewhere. It's hidden someplace. Marble Zone from the first Sonic game, and I said, I don't want to know. I don't want to know where that is. I will never play that because that level has my favorite video game music of all time, and I will stick a harpoon through my chest if I have to listen to to a melody that goes around that. Oh my god, I just couldn't even handle that. So
yeah, that's really weird, especially that,
to explain this to me. I don't get it.
Especially given the fact that Sonic is in Smash Brothers, and there's a very extensive collection of Sonic music onto the Sonic stage that you can put on and off and stuff. Like Nintendo got the rights to use in Sonic's entire catalog history of music when Sonic was in that game.
Why in the world would Lego not have it? Would Traveler Tales not have it? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Yeah, I don't get how you get the license to a property but not the music that comes with it, unless that music, of course, is licensed separately. And I have not found this to be true with any of the other properties they have. And of course, at this point, they have an inordinate amount of properties. But anyway, that's my rant. Hey, Rasco, what's the geekiest thing you did this week, sir? And you folks watching live, feel free to write down in the comments what your geekiest thing was this week, and I'll read some of the cool ones here in a little bit. Go ahead, Rasco.
So recently, I was going back and watching all of M. Night Shyamalan's movies.
Oh no, are you okay?
Leading up to Split? Yeah. And this isn't really that nerdy. I just thought I'd mention this. I've gone back and I've watched all of his films.
Yes, it is. That's pretty geeky.
It's pretty funny. Like, something goes wrong. And then, and I think he's recovered with Split, though. That's all I'll say. I don't know. I went back, watched his movies. I really like his movies. And, well, I like some of his movies. I like some of his earlier movies quite a bit. But yeah, that's just a whole bunch of craziness that happened with his career. And I don't really have anything else to say.
Yeah, it's amazing that he's still making movies infrequently, or as frequently as he is. Yeah, when you put out a message to us to the Seven about that movie, I was looking at it. I was looking at Eric's phone, and he was only able to look at part of that message. So it said you guys have got to go see Split, but we didn't know if it was because it was good or because it was bat stuff crazy. And only just now am I finally finding out that Rasco liked that movie, and that's why I've heard five or six people that I should go see that, and I've been wanting to. And Eric was like, it's Shyamalan, I don't really want to go. And I'm like, it's McAvoy though, I really want to go.
No, Cap, you have to go. I can't say why you have to go, but you have to go. Well,
can I ask you a question? Would you see it again?
Yes.
We could look at. I'm going to see Rasco this weekend. We could look at times and we could go together.
Yes. That would be awesome.
Let's do that. Okay, I will not see it until Saturday, and we will go see that movie in Metropolis, Illinois, or a neighboring town.
That's gonna be awesome.
Isn't Shyamalan on a streak now? I heard his last movie was pretty good too, from people that whatever his last one was.
Oh, that's true. People did say that was good.
Yeah,
I'm behind the.
It was good. It wasn't great, but it was like a easy, simple movie for him to just get right, so that we could see like, oh, he's still capable of getting things right. Like it's not like he's completely gone. It's a stepping stone to this movie, is what I would say. It's not really special, but it's definitely better than a lot of found footage movies that you see.
Somebody just said it's just a prequel to the Onslaught movie they will eventually make. Because that's what I want. I've been saying this forever. I want to see McAvoy play Onslaught. Dan, what is your geekiest thing you did this week, sir?
Let's see. Let me think. I've been poring over every little ounce and bit of information that's been coming out about the Nintendo Switch, because they had that presentation thing and they were really vague about almost everything. And they've been clarifying, trying to damage control most of the stuff that people...
And Dan and I spent an hour and a half going, well, this part looks cool, but what? And this part looks kind of okay, but what? And that was a whole hour and a half video we made.
Yeah, and it just looks... like even more disappointing every time I look up a piece of information about it. I was talking to Cap the other day about this, and I was just like appalled thinking about the fact that the Nintendo Switch is launching with 5 games, and like every other Nintendo system that in recent memory at launch has had at least like, I think the lowest was like 18 games at launch, and the Switch only has 5, indicating that like a lot of the developers, apparently they've come out and said they didn't even get dev kits until like right before they revealed the system to the public. And even though there are in a lot of games in development, like they won't be out for a long time. So it's basically not going to have a lot of third-party support. The developer of Titanfall 2 came out, and someone asked him if they were going to put their game to the Switch, and he replied with expletive no, because our game won't fit on that thing. So yeah, it just kind of makes me sad. I feel like this thing may be dead on arrival, because it has, even though it has Zelda, which of course is like, I love Zelda, it's my favorite game series of all time. It's also going to be on Wii U, and like, I don't know, I don't feel compelled to buy one until Mario comes out. So I'm, all the people that pre-ordered right away, I feel like it's going to be a Wii U situation where it's going to sell really well. Like on the first day, people will be really positive about it because all the diehard Nintendo fans got it, and then the sales will drop off a cliff. But I'm hoping and praying that it will be a better sale than that, because I don't want Nintendo to leave the hardware market. I feel like, them being successful is good for the industry. So we will see.
Well, Dan, I appreciate that second rant, buddy. That is just such a, and we talked about this, but it looks like such a counterintuitive move just from what we know so far as their answer to like turning things around with console sales. We had the Wii U for all of 4 years, and they're making all the same mistakes and making some of them worse. It's really strange. And I still stand by the Wii U. I think it's a great system. They just didn't work hard enough to make it a thing that you could make third-party games for. That's all.
Yeah, the UI is garbage, and the online is garbage. Like it's like the hardware itself, I don't really have a problem with, but like it did have a lot of problems, like as a system too. Like the OS and like some of the online social media stuff was all garbage on that system.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's just I don't care about that, so I liked it a lot. Yeah, I don't know. It's just
like one of the things that I didn't really realize that was a negative that I like looked up about the storage was that it has 32 gigabytes of internal storage, and micro SD cards are really expensive. Like I think a 32, like, let's see, I think I saw like a couple 100 gigabyte one is like $100, and you can
my god,
and you can get like an Xbox One or PS4 500 gigabyte model for like the same price as the Switch. It's like I don't know, but anyway, what was the geekiest thing you did this week?
I think this conversation right here. No, I don't have anything great. Last night, Sarah and I, it related to my rant. We were playing Lego Dimensions, and we bought a bunch of sets this week, and we were playing around in the A-Team open world. There's a thing I never thought I'd say. There's a Lego. Oh yeah, it's great. We were going. So I had Sonic the Hedgehog and the A-Team van running around in the A-Team open world, and we got like 13 bricks and gold bricks in an hour. So we were knocking them down. That was great. But that was fun. Should have recorded it because it was fun. There was some cool stuff in there. But anyway, let's go ahead and go on now to the open forum. And for the next 15 minutes or so, we will talk about whatever you folks would like to talk about watching live. I will look at the comments as we go along. And while you are putting in some comments, let's find out if there are any other cool geekiest things other people did. Somebody, Dan, just as you were saying Dead on Arrival, wrote Dead on Arrival. Like it came up before they possibly could have heard you say that.
Oh, really?
Starkiller 2099, geekiest thing. That's a great name. Well done. Geekiest thing I did was watch every Power Rangers series up to Dino Thunder. It's been a heck of a nostalgia trip for me. There's no way you did that inside of just a week.
Liar!
I would like, if you did, that's amazing. You didn't sleep. That's for a whole week. I watched every Power Rangers show up through Dino Thunder.
He was inspired by how great the trailer for the new movie looks.
Well, some people are really excited about it.
And they're wrong.
Okay, well, I didn't say it, guys. Yeah, I got some flack about how down I was on it, and I don't mean to be down on it. It's just if it's what I feel like I can glean, it's not gonna be for me.
It looks like garbage. I think. I don't know. I don't think it looks very good.
Cody Man didn't do anything geeky this week. Have you just been reading Shakespeare?
Shakespeare's great.
I don't think. Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. But I don't think I'm capable of going a week without accidentally. Even if I wasn't doing the channel, I feel like I would do something geeky and not realize it until I went back and went, "Oh, that's pretty geeky," right? Like,
yeah. I mean, I'm wearing like a Raider shirt and Xbox pajama pants right now. Like that's geeky as hell. You know, I could have said that.
I might not have gone up for enough, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of Red Letter and Tilly's next week's GNN. Why the heck do you keep messing up, Nintendo? Mike Root, thoughts on the Logan trailer? Yeah, so Eric and I watched it and decided not to do another video on that because there was a lot of new stuff to talk about with Power Rangers. With Logan, there were a couple of kind of, I guess, major things we learned, but that I don't think I would have had a whole lot to say about. One of them being, I thought it was going to be more post-apocalyptic than it looks. I was really surprised that trailer opens inside of a functioning and like very regular-looking gas station, and I was like, oh, this is not going to be as Old Man Logan as I thought. Having said that, it looks potentially spectacular. I'm very excited about it, and as excited as I was before. Hugh Jackman said something somewhat perplexing over the last couple days. He did an interview, and he said that this movie stands completely on its own, and you shouldn't pay any attention to X-Men history, which is okay because I'm already doing that. It's okay.
Yeah, he said it's in an alternate universe, which, like, it's just hilarious how convoluted the X-Men continuity is now that I'm not going to care about any of those things. But that being said, I think the movie looks fantastic. I'm very, very excited about that movie. It looks wonderful.
Yeah, the guy with the robo hand, I don't know what his character's name.
Mr. Roboto, of course.
Of
right,
course.
Yeah, he's a big Styx fan, yeah.
Yeah, so Mr. Robohand, he is going to be the lead, I think, in Shane Black's Predator film of next year.
Oh, I didn't even know that was happening.
So he must have just amazing dialogue delivery or something to be in a Shane Black film, because Shane Black was talking to Benicio del Toro and stuff like that for the lead of his Predator film. So that guy is probably going to be huge after Logan if he's really good in that movie, because he's seems like he's kind of becoming more and more of a science fiction / action star, because he was in that really bad movie that Ridley Scott's son directed earlier this year, Morgan, and that was not very good, but he was in that movie, and he was pretty good in that movie, and we have him in this, and he's playing what looks like a much more interesting character. So I'm really excited just to see if that guy becomes a presence after Logan. Yeah,
that's a great point. Alternatively, there's every possibility that Predator movie doesn't make any money.
Possibly. I mean, Nice Guys was great, and it didn't make any money. So
Yeah. I mean, just because it's Shane Black, you can't assume it's going to perform. In fact, his movies don't tend to do gangbusters or anything.
Yeah.
Didn't the last Predators movie make pretty good money?
I didn't pay
because they didn't they like try to pseudo reboot it a couple of years ago. I didn't see it. But.
It's weird. Like it doesn't really acknowledge Predator 2, but Predator 2 could.
Oh, it's like the Superman Returns of Predator movies.
Yeah, and Shane Black's film might also like retcon Predator 2 and Predators and just be in the universe of the first. Or it's just going to be a total reboot. But I'm pretty sure it's going to exist in the same continuity as just the first Predator film.
Interesting. I like the one with Arnold. That one's good. I haven't seen any other ones.
Predator 2 is actually... It gets like... people are way too hard on that movie. They do a lot of really awesome choice. Like there are so many great choices in that film. Because like with Predator, you have like an Arnold action flick, then you throw in an alien, and Predator 2 is Lethal Weapon, and you throw in an alien, and it's awesome. That's like one of my favorite decisions that they made with Predator 2. It's not a horrible movie. Cool. I think it's actually like a pretty decent film. People just kind of forget about it.
Interesting. I'll have to watch that sometime.
Yeah, I need to go back and see any of those. We've been kicking around doing that soon. I think that's on Eric's short list for He Made Me Watch, because of course he's seen that and I have not. Nero Cole, any updates on the sequel to Spawn Gear? Nothing that I haven't already revealed before. We are currently planning on putting that out in October of this year, and sorry for the lengthy delay. There's a number of reasons that ended up having to happen, but I'm going to be working on that pretty diligently, getting started on stuff for it pretty soon, but we won't be putting it out until much later this year. Super nerd thoughts on Star Trek Discovery so far. I don't have a lot to say that I haven't said already, except I haven't talked about the fact that it got put off again, or it looks like it might be getting put off again. It was supposed to come out in May. It looks like that's not going to happen now. And the big question is and I haven't looked at anything in the last couple of days, so there might be more information I don't know, but if my information is current, it makes me wonder if Fuller might end up coming back to it, and if that's why they're putting it off. The article I read said nothing to that effect, but I don't know why you wouldn't put it off long enough to let Fuller come back to it, because that was his baby, and he's very upset that he had to leave the project, and the project could very well suffer for his not being there, given that he was the showrunner putting everything together in the first place, and it was his brainchild in the first place. Somebody I hadn't heard of was cast as Sarek, so we know Sarek's in it, which is really interesting. I'm excited to see how many characters we're familiar with are going to be recast for that show. If nothing has changed, it's as far as I understand, it's supposed to be about the character number one from The Cage, and then Sarek is supposed to be there. So we could have quite a few characters we're familiar with in that show, and that's, I don't know, could be really exciting. What else? Somebody wants to know if they should play the Mass Effect trilogy, but I think Dan already answered that in the comments.
Yes, you should. They're 3 of the best games of all time. I love them. Anything BioWare makes, I love. So,
Here's one from Nathan Snyder.
No.
He thoughts on James Cameron wanting to reboot Terminator.
Again?
So it's weird. Like, apparently he is guaranteed to get, like, Terminator will be his by 2019. I don't know the specifics. I don't know, that's all I know is, like, apparently in 2019, James Cameron, whatever he wants to do with Terminator at that point, like, he's going to be able to. It's weird because he's making, like how many Avatar films, like, back to back to back? Like, was it like 4 Avatar movies?
4. Yeah.
Yeah, just like,
yeah, I was gonna say, I thought he'd be busy.
But if he's getting the rights back to it, that doesn't mean he'd be the one who directed it, right? Or we said for sure that's happening.
Tim Miller, from the director of Deadpool, a lot of people were saying that he apparently is who James Cameron's bringing in to direct.
Interesting.
Which is interesting. It's very strange, but, like, that whole thing is crazy. Like, And I've also heard it's not a reboot. I've heard that they're just doing what Neil Blomkamp is going to do with his like true Alien 3 film, and they're just going to cut out Terminator 3, Salvation, and Genesis. And
Genesis,
yeah, Genesis. And they're just, I think they're just retconning them.
I thought James Cameron gave a bunch of really obviously paid to do interviews where he said Genesis was going to be great, and it was a new direction, and for the rebooted Terminator franchise.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like, it's funny because
a lot of people in the comments. A lot of people in the comments are saying that those Avatar movies will probably never happen. I tend to I tend to agree with that likelihood, honestly. But
I didn't even really like the first one that much. I thought it was okay. I don't know.
I mean, it's like my least favorite movie, James Cameron movie.
I'm not talking about that movie. I was told I didn't like it at all, and I was told by a lot of people that you can't fully appreciate it if you don't see it in 3D, and I feel like I was being discriminated against because of my disability.
That's ableist of them.
That's right. I'm sore about it. I'm sore about it, and I'm still gonna get a parking placard on my car because I am handicapped because I can't see in 3D. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
I was just a cheap mother trucker who refused to see that movie, and I didn't like it at all. So.
Anyway, well, that was fun. Who's for Chinese? Let's do one or two more, shall we? Everybody just wants to talk about Terminator right now.
We had one from Ian earlier. That was pretty good. It says, this is related to the show topic. Any thoughts on CGI-heavy movies being the reason we don't get many deleted scenes now? Like Deadpool has scenes where Colossus isn't finished. So, like, you wouldn't get to see that deleted scene, potentially. Like, could that be a reason?
You know what's weird about deleted scenes? That ends up being like the thing I'm least interested in with special features a lot of the time. I don't know why. Like if it's not in an extended cut, I don't tend to even watch them unless I'm doing a project.
Yeah, it's interesting for some movies, like when
usually I just get real disappointed if I think that scene should have been in there, and otherwise
exactly.
I'm like, well, yes, of course you didn't put that in there. That would have been dumb. Good job.
I had that experience with the first Amazing Spider-Man movie with all of the scenes with Kurt Connors. We did talk about that in our commentary. Like,
yeah,
they cut out all the development of that character.
When you have a kid actor that can even remotely act as well as that kid does, it should be against the law to cut his scenes because it's so difficult to find good. Because it's so difficult to find good child actors.
Yeah.
Anyway, but to actually answer the question, yeah, that probably has something to do with it because you can't. You're not going to get the studio to give you the money to finish the scene.
Yeah.
I know that with Peter Jackson's King Kong, this isn't actually that unique at all now that I'm thinking about it because we have like BVS, the Ultimate Edition, and stuff like that. But I mean, like, there's like whole awesome completed scenes that are just thrown back into that movie. If you watch like the special cut of that film, it's awesome.
How long is the special cut of that movie? Like 5 hours?
It's
of what movie? What are we talking about?
Of Peter Jackson's King Kong. I've never seen the extended cut. That movie's awesome. I like it a lot, but I've never seen the extended cut. Yeah.
Hold on,
How long is the extended cut? Oh, okay, cool.
Right now.
How do you milk a cow? And then somebody said, "Ask a farmer."
1-2 switch will teach you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I bet that's in there. I bet you can.
No, it is. It's confirmed. It's confirmed.
No way.
There's a cow milking game in that game. Yeah.
You can see if you can milk a cow faster than your friends.
I've found it. Yeah. It's 3 hours and 20 minutes long. That's the extended version.
Oh, that's not bad.
Wow.
I figured it would be like longer than the Lord of the Rings extended cuts. Just like, oh, can these movies be any more boring? Please end.
Yeah, or like the Watchmen Ultimate Cut. Well, actually, I think that is about that long. Like 3.5.
Yeah.
Mind the Gap, how long is an acceptable amount of time before a violent crime can be used in fiction? Wow, that's a fantastic question.
You love that question. That's hilarious.
I don't know. Well, just I've never really given that a lot of thought. I don't know. It's an interesting question. I don't know if I can answer it right now without giving it some thought. That and I'm probably not going to make that a full blown GNN topic or anything. But it is but Dan, it is a thing. Dan's not being thoughtful right now. It is a thing that I think about sometimes where I'm like, like a travesty will happen, and then like a year and a half later the movie comes out, and you're like, I don't know, that was a little soon. And this isn't the same kind of thing, but I always like to bring up the fact that like W came out while George Bush was still in office. I think that's weird.
That is really weird. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know what the acceptable amount of time is. I've never really thought about it. If the movie's good, then I probably ultimately won't care, even if it's a week later, to be honest.
Dan doesn't have an opinion. He just wants to laugh at your thought-out question.
It was just your reaction. You're like, violent crime. Ooh, excellent question.
This sounds sensationalist and fascinating. Let's see if we can rake in the viewership this evening. Well, folks,
you should name the next GNN live topic just as violent crime.
It should be a follow-up to this where it's called "Where Have All the Violent True Crime Films Gone?"
Yeah, we'll all talk about our favorite violent crime films.
Folks, based on real events. Anyway, on that note, let's go ahead and end our show this evening. Thanks a lot for watching, folks. We sure appreciate it. If you're watching live or after the fact, really appreciate all the questions and all the discourse. Eric and I are going to see Rasco this weekend. He and I are going to meet Rasco in Metropolis, Illinois, the official home of Superman, and we're going to hang out together on Saturday. We're going to make a video or 5 for you there. So we'll try to have some things up with Rasco in person for you next week. And unless anything changes, we should have our show. Let me think about this. We're going to stay overnight on Saturday. I don't know if we'll have a show on Sunday. We very likely will, but I will try to let everybody know on social media. So make sure you're following us on Facebook or Twitter, and I will keep everybody apprised there. In the meantime, we sure appreciate it. Sorry you didn't get to see Steve this evening, and Eric was also out. Wasn't able to make it, but we will see you again very shortly here on Geekvolution with more Marvel Mania commentaries, and I've got a Blank Man review I'm working on right now. Finished writing that and recording it today, so this should go up sometime in the next couple of days. And in the meantime, I was Captain Logan, and this is Fancy Dan.
Bye, everybody.
And Jackson Rasco 5. And I am Captain Logan saying goodnight. What was that? Saying good night. Good night.
Please refrain from committing violent crimes.